is said to start, I suppose, the beginning of the 14th century, but we're going to go back a little bit before that to look at some sort of previous contacts between Italy and the Islamic world. And the Fatimid period goes from 969 to 1171. I was excavating sites that related to the Romanesque period in Italy. And what I found fascinating was that in lots of the facades of Romanesque Italian churches, you will find material coming from the Islamic world. You will find, often, you might have seen them if you've been to Italy, those beautiful bowls set into church facades. Usually the bowls are either from Tunisia or they're from Fatimid Egypt, and many of them are either the lustre that you see here, or you might have the coloured wares down there like that. And the 10th and 11th centuries, the Italians started sending their ships to the other side of the Mediterranean, trading particularly with Egypt, but also with parts of the Levant, but other parts of North Africa too. Immediately, these became very, very prized objects, and they were taken back and inserted into the church walls in many cases. And I find that fascinating, because we are talking about a period where most of the time, well, for a lot of the time, the Crusades were going on. So we had people actually sort of, at war with one another, and perhaps ideologically quite different. But the Italians were purchasing these pieces, trading with Egypt, and bringing the pieces back and inserting them into the walls of their churches. And I find that a quite amazing and wonderful thing. And these objects come from the Mamluk period. The Mamluks managed to get into their artwork their sort of hierarchical position. So, for example, let me see on here, if we have a look at this lovely glass here, you will see that amongst the bands of calligraphy, you will occasionally get a roundel, and within the roundel you would get a symbol. Now the symbol there is a diamond, so that's meant to be a napkin. So that relates to somebody in the household of the master of the wardrobe. It's often said that Islamic craftsmen have a sort of horror of leaving any space uncovered by anything, but I think in the case of these particular wares, it's the Venetians themselves who are driving the sort of impetus to have this sort of whole brocade or tapestry of interlocking geometric designs, very sort of floral imagery too, lots of different motifs all connected there. There's a complete absence of Arabic calligraphy. So whereas the metalwork that's produced for the domestic market by the Mamluks generally has quite a lot of Arabic calligraphy on it, this is completely lacking here, because that's not something that really would be related to. And when there is Arabic calligraphy on an object, you'll often find that it doesn't mean anything. It's what we call pseudo-calligraphy, because the patron has asked for something that looks like Arabic calligraphy, but they don't want to read it, so it doesn't actually matter. So we just have something that, that looks the part, but doesn't actually mean anything at all. The reason why Islamic metalwork became so intricate with all of this gold and silver inlay was precisely because people wanted to think, it's only a brass vessel. So I'm not offending this traditional hadith that you shouldn't be having gold bowls on your table. But the fact that, it was inlaid with gold and silver, and it was so amazingly engraved and inlaid, meant that you could satisfy the fact that, you really did want to show off, actually. The Venetians managed to maintain very, very good relations with the Levant and Egypt for trade, because of course they were very canny. And it wasn't seen as a threat at all. The Mamluk Empire was not seen as a threat.